They've almost finished loading our cargo. We should be ready to depart right on schedule. Or so I'm told.
Excellent. 'Tis nice to have a smooth beginning to one's journey, at the very least.
It's funny. Master Louis Soir came here on a ship very much like this one. And now, years later, the street urchin he befriended that day is bound for his mentor's homeland. With his mentor's grandchildren, no less.
Aye. 'Tis upon reflection that every twist of time's river and fate's whims are brought into sharp relief. Thou hast matured much in the intervening years. Wert thou not caught attempting to relieve Master Louisois of his purse scant moments after he made landfall upon this dock?
Oh, really? Now that's a tale I'd like to hear.
Will this be your first visit to Sharlayan, Sir Estinian? Sir Estinian?
Are we strangers newly met? Why this stiff formality?
I, merely meant it as a professional courtesy, since we are now colleagues in an official sense.
I'd rather you dispense with the sirs, especially in private company. Or I'll be forced to respond in kind, little Lord Alphino.
You've made your point, Estinian. Painfully well.
Better.
Are you all right, Tataru? You seem positively distraught.
Distraught? Me? Don't be silly. I think it's lovely that they get to see their homeland. It's just... we're trying to thwart the schemes of an army hell's-bent on destroying the world. And, once again, I have to stay behind and worry that this is the last time I'll get to see my friends. I'll hold you to that.
Ah, good. You're still here.
Hori! Coulternay! What brings you all this way?
We're to assist the Maelstrom and the Kobolds with a lunar primal operation, so we thought we'd see you off before heading to the tower. Flamine and the others wish you all a safe journey, and promise that they'll look after things here until you return. We will too, of course. Aye. We, your fellow Scions of the Seventh Dawn, will do our part to ensure the end of the world won't happen on our watch.
We set the sail! All aboard for Sharlayan!
It's time.
Then we must delay no longer. We will contact you the moment we learn aught of value. Wish us luck.
Have a safe journey, and please, please, be careful.
And so you venture forth unto the unknown. A fate beyond the horizon that cannot be divined. A future undefined and in flux. In uncertain times, naught but the simplest words of wisdom will suffice. That which lives is destined to die. Love leads to loss. Every beginning has an end. Treasure every moment, every step of your descent. And there, in the depths where souls and stars rest, find your truth.
Here. Feel. Think.
The day has barely dawned, my fellow earlier riser. Though we're hardly alone in that. Envious of those still sleeping soundly, no doubt. Called out to you, you say? I've heard nothing myself. In any case, I dare say the sea air will do you good. Why not join the others on deck? Sharlayan should be coming into view at any moment.
My voice yet reaches you. I am glad. Hear, feel, think. And thus do we meet face to face at last. My warrior of light, guided by the crystal. After your sojourn in the First, I believe you have your answer. You have gained an understanding of what I truly am, what Eidolon has always been, a primal, Zodiac was created to forestall the apocalypse which threatened the ancient world, and I was brought forth to bind him. Yet 7 times now, those who would orchestrate a return to that bygone era have rejoined a shard to the god I had sundered. The greater his strength grows, the swifter does mine own diminish. The power to draw your mind into the rift betwixt is no longer mine to wield. Yet though it taxes me sorely, I dare not leave these words unsaid. Even bereft of my guidance, you and your companions have accepted the burden of this star's troubled past. A conjunction has begun to form, an intertwining of your time and mine. Wheels shudder and turn. Conflict looms. Monumental. Which will decide the fate of this world and all life upon it. When you truly understand what is at stake, and your journey has prepared you to surmount the insurmountable, then shall I honor the promise made in another time, another age.
Cast your peepers to the fore, folks. Sharlayan's just over yonder.
I will not keep you further. Your traveler's heart must yearn to behold this unfamiliar land. We shall meet again, and soon.
Oh, what a fine morning. Oh, still a bit stiff though.
And a good morning to you too. Taken a look at the island already?
Then let's go. Let's go. Might still be room in the prow if we're lucky.
Ah, the sleepers have arisen. There she is. Good old Sharlayan.
Oh, I see it.
Home. Home at last. Well, maybe not in Father's eyes, but we'll manage on our own, if we must.
You do know you're not alone in this, don't you?
Indeed. 'Tis as Sir Estinian saith. Forget not the comrades who boarded this ship at your side, I prithee.
Thank you, my friends. We are ever grateful for your steadfast support.
Upon arrival, we will be disembarking into the heart of Sharlayan proper. There is no greater concentration of wisdom in all the world. I am confident that somewhere within that center of knowledge and learning, we will find the answers we seek.
Sharlayan, the solitary island nation of the northern seas. Where under the watchful gaze of Thaliak, patron deity of scholars, academics hoard all manner of knowledge and secrets. Once, they deigned to accept foreign students into a distant colony maintained in the Dravanian hinterlands. How swiftly they abandoned it once the first Garlean boot set hostile foot on Alamegan soil. So averse to the prosecution of war, these men of wisdom, your would-be allies.
I thought they'd never let us off the ship. What's next, then? Entry applications?
Hopefully they find no cause to deny us.
Hasn't Sharlayan all but severed relations with foreign powers? Those of us without direct ties, myself included, may be refused outright.
'Tis true that, as a nation, Sharlayan only forms trade agreements with a select few neutral countries. But from a practical standpoint, an island cannot afford to be overly strict with its borders, especially not if that island's people are wholly devoted to the accumulation of knowledge. If one submits the proper paperwork, with satisfactory evidence of identity and intent, then foreigners may be granted entry.
May.
Quite. So let us be absolutely clear on these points before we proceed. The immigration officer will ask for your affiliation and your purpose of visit. Considering Sharlayan's views on intervention, I strongly suggest we avoid any mention of the Scions. Kral has laid the groundwork for us to act as associates of the students of Baldessian, and our ostensible reason for being here is to aid in their order's restoration. Grahatir, it might expedite our progress should an actual student be seen at the head of our little group. Would you mind leading the way?
Of course. The immigration officers were this way, as I recall. Shall we? Greetings. We've just arrived and are eager to make our way into the city. Would you be so kind as to process our entry applications?
Certainly. I see by your mark you are an Archon.
I am. Grahatir of the Students of Baldessian at your service. I was assigned to an Eorzean survey team, but have returned to assist with the reformation of my order. My associates here will provide additional support.
Very good. I have paperwork detailing your group and its scheduled arrival for today. And it seems some few of your companions are also Archons. If you'll step forward, we can process those applications first.
Ishtola rule.
See how it glows? That list is etherically linked with a citizen registry kept in the main repository.
I've confirmed your status as Archons and amended your travel records accordingly. Welcome home. Now, who do we have here?
Alphino Leveilleur.
And Alizé Leveilleur.
Your applications have also been approved. Having said that, the streets are abuzz with talk of how House Leveilleur's lord disowned his young progeny. And while such personal circumstances constitute no reason to deny you entry, I urge you to avoid exacerbating your present situation. Times are quite troubled enough already.
We shall keep that in mind.
These last two are not Sharlayan natives, but you will find their credentials are in order. An application was made in advance.
Name and occupation?
And it is a title well earned, I can assure you.
An adventurer by trade is what your documentation indicates. No mention of this particular title. Self-appointed, I take it. Either way, your employer seems willing to vouch for your character, so I shall, albeit reluctantly, grant you entry. Champion. And you, sir?
Estinian Valeno, formerly of the Order of the Knights Dragoon in Ishgard.
Formally, at least. And what, pray tell, is your profession now?
If you'll allow me... My associate is a mercenary, hired for his strength at arms. Surely you are aware of the dangers we often face on our forays into the wilderness.
Mistress Baldessian, if you insist on sponsoring his entry, then so be it. But while I appreciate that desperate times call for desperate measures, I find your choice of company concerning. Be advised that even a single misstep may have severe repercussions for your organization.
I have every confidence in my chosen company, dear and trusted comrades that they are. But I thank you for your concern.
Croyle! It is good to see you.
Likewise. Long voyage notwithstanding, you will seem none the worse for wear. There is much to discuss, but this is hardly the place. Let's be on our way, shall we? Oh! Welcome, friends, to Sharlayan.
As your mercenary, I should hope my welcome includes a generous salary.
Well, I had to say something, Sir Taciturn.
Pray forgive me. I was delayed.
It's fine, Urianger. We're all here now.
Let's get down to business then, shall we? Come what may, we must prevent the Telophoroi's plans from coming to fruition. At present, I see two paths for gathering the information which may aid us in achieving that goal. The first involves an investigation into the change which has come over Sharlayan, not to mention the recent inscrutable behavior of the Forum. As most of you know, the 99 members of the Forum are elected from the general populace. This alone guarantees a plethora of opinion with regards to foreign policy. The bibliotheques, for example, are a group of conservatives which would have Sharlayan focus on recording history, while remaining entirely uninvolved in the making of it. And at the other extreme, we have advocates for proactive diplomacy and direct intervention. My grandfather Galef was one such member, as was Archon Louisois. Yet despite our diverse factions and philosophies, the recent vote to deny Eorzea's request for assistance was unanimous. Even more concerning was the fact that many cited other, more pressing duties as justification for their recalcitrance.
Fortuno's refusal in Gridania had those same undertones. 'Twas as if, having stared unblinking into the face of impending doom, he had simply turned away to pursue something more important. But what could that possibly be?
A mystery indeed, and one which I ask for your help to solve. Our future may depend on it. As for our second potential path, it concerns a request made directly to the students of Baldessian. Our organization was founded primarily to study strange and unexplained phenomena the world over. Mysterious relics and ruins, arcane disturbances, and so forth. Compared to our more isolationist Sharlayan colleagues, we have strong connections overseas, namely with scholars and academics who share our passion for the unknown. The request in question comes from one such acquaintance, Nadana, an alchemist residing in distant Thavnair. Her missive describes the sudden appearance of a tower, and the subsequent summoning of what I can only assume is a lunar primal. In response to this threat, the satrap of Radzat-Han, the individual who governs the city-state, has instructed the alchemists to find a means to deal with the spire.
The artisans of that land are heirs to an ancient tradition, one rather unlike that of their Uldan counterparts. 'Tis possible, nay, probable, that they have gleaned truths unattainable by Eorzea or her Far Eastern allies.
They do, in fact, appear to have a strategy in mind, though it will require further research. To that end, they have requested an introduction to a capable warrior shielded by the blessing of light.
Assuming we divide our forces to pursue both of Krar's lines of inquiry, and having you join the group heading to Thavnair would seem the obvious choice. But the investigation in Sharlayan is of vital importance as well. Equal, I think, to the Thavnairian one, given that the fate of the world may hinge on the results of both.
Yes, it is quite the quandary. Though it is a great imposition and an altogether too common one, our efforts would be more likely to succeed were you to lead the charge on both fronts. You are indeed our champion. As to which task to tackle first, we will defer to your decision. Let us next decide how everyone else might best be assigned. As for myself, I shall continue what I've begun in Sharlayan. I should also like to steal the services of an Archon or two.
And thereby gain access to a greater range of reading material. I will help with that.
Allow me to offer my assistance. I have some small amount of experience in the field of research.
Alize and I would also like to help, if you would have us.
Anything to understand even a fraction of what our father and the Forum might be thinking. Of course, the more the merrier.
Right. The rest of us will make the journey to Thavner. Thoughts? Objections?
I passed through Thavner on my way to infiltrate the Empire, and though I'm not qualified to give a guided tour, I did gain a sense of where things lie.
I'll be happy to have you along then. So for this group, it will be you, me, and Urianger.
Give me a moment afterwards, and I'll supply you with all the details of Nadana's request. Consider this hall our rendezvous point once our respective tasks are complete. May our investigations prove fruitful. When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Sharlayan? Grahas said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been, how being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently. They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island. Sharlayan is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the Forum. If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh or no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Ugh. Did you call to me just now? No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
I trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Sharlayan scholars, and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Sharlayan was charged with a momentous duty. And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge. I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
Then I will do your bidding. For now. But unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the Forum.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full. While I do have my reservations about the Forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting. She said you would need it for the journey ahead. Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
Thank you. Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower, walk free, for you are free, to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first, so weak and tenuous it was. Once I took hold of that wispy thread, imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower. Yes, we are definitely making progress.
You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong!
Master Fortuno? What business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian. A group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What, then, is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Graha! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
Forgive me. I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order! This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuno, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age-long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a Forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, Our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea. You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Yes, we are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno. I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the Studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these Scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? No. If we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
Order! We will have order! Master Monteshane raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we enforce the following measures. Until further notice, the students of Baldesion are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlayan. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
Welcome home,
my lady.
What? What are you gawping at? I'll have you know I'm quite fond of the Rising Stones.
Lord Fortuneau is not to hear of this visit. And I should also like the children to have their gifts, ere my husband makes his return.
As you wish, my lady.
Master Alphino, Mistress Alice, if you'd accompany me upstairs.
We shan't be long.
The twins have been sending letters home from time to time, recounting their latest adventures. I am sure they withhold certain details, of course, if only to keep me from worrying. Yet a mother worries all the same. In the early days especially, I tried to support them as best I could, sending the Scion's coin and other such donations. Fortunately, they have found the strength to overcome adversity time and time again. Their words grow more confident with every letter, their depictions more vivid. The triumphs and defeats, the joys and sorrows. It is clear that they have come to find value in every experience. But of those they treasure most, it would seem that meeting you might be the most impactful. Why, since that fateful day, I do believe there has not been a single missive in which you were not mentioned by name. It is plain they care for you, and I am glad they have such a steadfast companion watching over them. Under normal circumstances, I would offer you tea, but alas, these are anything but. In any event, why don't you keep me company whilst we await my children's return? Perhaps you might regale me with a tale or two of your exploits.
When you mentioned gifts, I wasn't sure what to expect. Mother,
Oh, look how well it fits you. And the style is to your liking?
It's perfect. Exactly what I would have chosen. But please, tell me you had something different made for Alphinaud.
Naturally. You are hardly little children anymore. And while I shall miss dressing you in those precious matching outfits, I must respect the individuals you have grown to become. See for yourself.
Thank you for the splendid clothes, Mother. Stylish, comfortable, and eminently practical.
I am so glad you like them. They are, however, missing one final touch.
If you'd allow me, Master Alphinaud.
Wait. Are these...
A sage's tools of the trade. They belonged to your father. Though he may as well be chained to his desk these days, as a student he was often called upon to venture into the field. He wielded those armaments, both to heal and to harm in no few battles. None so fierce as those you two have braved, perhaps, but battles nonetheless. Thus did I pull them out of storage, to show you that he was not always the man who stands in vehement opposition to you now. And also because it would be a terrible waste of ridiculously expensive House Leveilleur commissioned artistry. I am told these devices are quite difficult to master, but someone of your extensive experience should soon have them darting about with grace and aplomb. May the wisdom in that crystal serve you well. And please, try to find common ground with your father, that you might come and go without need for this awful subterfuge.
We will, Mother. I promise.
My final gifts to you, before you run off, are an observation and a suggestion. Firstly, Fortunato has ever been a serious man, but it was only after you were born that he truly lost himself in his work. I may not know the Forum's inner workings, but I know your father's. The timing of that change in him holds some significance. Secondly, do not seek to best your father with words. Far better that you simply show him. Let him discover the merit of your actions, after they cannot be undone.
Oh, Mother.
We shall take your wisdom to heart. Thank you again for these gifts, and farewell for now.
Safe travels, my children. Eat well, stay warm, and keep your friends close.